Hello there, welcome to Hoojies Garage. Today I'm sitting in a SnappCar. Now, what is that? That's a some kind of an application or a rental company, whatever you call it, or a car sharing service, maybe you could call it. And I was curious in getting to rent a Tesla. So I just searched randomly, and well, disclaimer, I have nothing to do with SnappCar, and I'm paying this with my own money, so nothing from their perspective. They are not involved in this at all. Now, I'm sorry, I wanted to rent a Tesla, so I just searched the internet and found SnappCar, and they do have Teslas, but the Teslas and well, all the cars are owned by private owners. So that means that the pricing and the, how shall I say, the kilometers that you can drive and there are all sorts of cars there. So something of the most expensive I could find there was the an Audi R8 Spider V10. But that one was only to be rented per hour with the driver next to you. So seems like everyone can kind of do their own conditions, but SnappCar is for sure an established company. It seems to be a Dutch company. I've already seen the bill, and the bill comes from Utrecht in the Netherlands. So okay. Now the good thing with this is that everything is regulated and everything is under control, one can say, which is good, of course, because then things are under control in terms of insurance, if something would happen to the car, if there are certain rules to follow, of course, and they also have a rating system, so that if someone is not taking care of the business in a good way or not taking care of the vehicle in a good way, then you get a poor rating, of course. There are lots of things to show too, so let me take a little guided tour through that thing. So I was a bit I was a bit interested in Tesla. So you can see there are a few there, prices ranging from some 200 euros down to 100 euros, and those prices that you see there are without some SnappCar fees and without the insurance and so on. Now I found a really cheap one that was in the range of 100 euros per day per 24 hours. Now this is I would say something that is close to kind of renting a wreck. The Tesla that it's this car that I'm sitting in right now, and it's kind of a 300,000 euro Tesla. That's kind of the retail value if you would buy it right now. It has close to 500,000 kilometers on it. The battery is replaced, so it has the 90 kilowatt hour battery. The car drives well, and there are no real issues with it. Of course, there are some, some small little damages on the outside, some minor things. The right door handle doesn't work. Some minor things like that, but the car works. And of course, it's an old Model S, so it charges a bit slowly and so on. But on the other hand, it has free supercharging and so on. It has free Spotify, and So I was kind of curious, is it to drive such an old Tesla? And I also wanted to do a bit of a camping experience, and there will be another video about the camping experience as such. Now, also the good thing with this one was that it had 300 free kilometers per 24 hours. Some just have 100, which is a bit, why rent a car if you're not driving much? Okay. Now I could also see on the site here that some cars that were quite popular were estates. Of course, people want to go shopping something, and then they have no car and so on. And I could also see that cars that were rented quite a lot, they are in city centers, so people can just walk from their apartment and pick up the car and so on. A few really modern cars you can even pick up keyless. You just run everything over the phone. But what does it take to be on the site? If you're a driver or a renter, maybe you could say, then you have to have, of course, a driving license, and you have to photo your driving license and put it into the phone. You have to read, well, you should read through a lot of things because, well, it's kind of a contract that you're getting into, or a deal that you're getting into. I don't think you're allowed to be below 25 years. You're not allowed to have track records of bad behavior, or whatever you should say. For me, getting into, or even though this is a cheap and old Tesla, I could not really reserve it right away because they had to check me up so that I'm credit worthy, because they consider it to be an expensive car. Well, so my rating was high. Thanks for that. Now, and the person that has the car also has to go through a lot of things and take photos and so on. And the owner of this car is far away from a city center. Now I have plenty of cars, so was not really in need of a car, but I just wanted a different car. So I asked, can I park my private car there? And he said, yeah, it's fine. You're welcome. All right. So I went there with my old Audi A2 that has even more mileage than this one. And then we went into this check-in thing. He has to check in on his phone, and I have to check in on my phone. And, well, yeah, before we got that far, I was in parallel checking with the Tesla Model Y, because I haven't been out driving a lot in one of those. I've been driving a bit, but not much. So it could have been an option to be in a Model Y then. But that owner just didn't respond to my message. So, well, okay, weird. But maybe, all the communication runs through a separate application. And if you're not really into that application, then you're not, maybe not aware of what's going on. And for me, it was a bit frustrating because it didn't say if my message had been read or not. So the software has some glitches, and it's not really up to a normal chat standard, or whatever you should call it. So SnappCar has some improvement to do there, I would say. And I also find it a bit, maybe I shouldn't say buggy, but a bit inconsistent. Sometimes the price was shown with some fees, and sometimes it was not, and and so on. So SnappCar can for sure develop their service a bit more, but they had quite quick support, I could say. I chatted in my local language, and I got a reply within an hour or so, so not too bad. Now, back to the handover of the cars. There are also some conditions. This car has some comments: no pets, no smoking, for instance. You're allowed to go abroad if you have the time to. Inspection images. So you see, those are the photos that I took according to the SnappCar instructions. I had to walk around the car and take photo, just so that there are no disagreements about what could have happened with the car during the rental period. Then the owner has to show damages that are existing on the car, and there was a little stone chip in the windscreen that he had forgotten, and then we just added it, so it was kind of convenient from that perspective. And then he had it charged up to 90%. I said I will not be able to hand it back with 90%. Then he said, don't worry. The guy that has this car, he's a bit of a character. He's quite well off also. Yeah, I think he has some 3 Teslas or something. So yeah, I think he's doing this just for fun. And I think he has some company where he uses this as a courtesy car, maybe you could call it. So he said, don't worry. If you come here with 50, 60, don't worry, energy is cheap. So, and then, well, I've driven this kind of cars in the past. I'm fairly at home in it. I did get a bit lost with the charge. And I had some issues. The charging lid was not really operating as it should, but now the last charges, it has been working fine. So I had to contact him and check, what's going on here? But he replied quickly on the chat and so on. So no worries. And then, yeah, okay, when you come to a normal rental company and hand back the car, you just leave it there, you drop the key, but this is kind of a private owner. How dirty can I leave the car to you? And he said, or we said, well, do some rough cleaning so that it just doesn't look like I don't want to touch it. So I vacuumed the car completely and just made sure that there are no, it doesn't look like, well, if I would have been driving on a wet gravel road, of course I would have washed it off a bit. So I am quite happy with this service, I must say. And I mean, if you're living central some big city and just want to go to some supermarket somewhere, you can rent a car for maybe the list prices are, I've seen from like 17-20 euros for some old and really cheap cars. There's probably some fees to be added to that, which puzzles me a bit, because you can rent really cheap cars for kind of 30 euros at established companies also, but then they are not in your neighborhood. Here you can, in the app, let me show you again. In the app, you can, of course, you can search for cars, search, and yeah, the Fiat Punto 2.7 kilometers from the center of Gothenburg. Of course, you can just walk there or take the bike and then you're off. 250 crowns or 25 euros. Yeah. All right. So there are quite a few options. Now, what did I end up with? Well, I decided to go for this car for 4 days, and with some fees and so on, I'm at 500 euros. But I've driven like, well, this one has then 4 times 300. It has 1,203 kilometers, but I will have driven a bit more than 1,300 when I come back. I've been some kind of 5-6 hours up north. But then I will probably, we will have to type in the kilometers. He had to type in the kilometers as I took up the car or picked up the car. I think I double checked, and we will do the same now when we hand it back. And SnappCar will see that, okay, it's got over mileage, so I will be charged maybe 20 euros extra for something like that for it. So, all right. He also put a CCS adapter in the car, so you can charge on a V3 station. The MCU was just updated just before I picked up the car, so yeah. So my experience with SnappCar has been good so far. I will go and hand back the car now, and I would expect nothing special to happen. If so, I will add that to the end of this video, but if not, then that's all from Hoojies Garage today. Take care. Bye bye. Drive.